Most people over 60 believe walking is one of the safest things they can do for their health. And in many ways, that's true. But here's what almost nobody tells you. A handful of small, easy-to-miss mistakes can quietly work against your joints, your balance, and your energy, even while you're doing everything you think is right. Maybe you've already felt it creeping in. Your knees ache a little more than they used to. Your walks feel less steady than they once did. You get tired faster, even on the same familiar route you've walked 100 times before. If any of that sounds familiar, stay with me, because what I'm about to share could change how you think about your daily walk entirely. Here's the part that worries me most as a nurse. If you keep walking the wrong way without realizing it, you may slowly lose the very strength, confidence, and mobility you've been working so hard to protect. So today, I want to walk you through the most common mistakes people make with walking after 60, and more importantly, exactly what to do instead. My goal isn't to scare you or complicate something you already enjoy. It's to help your daily walk actually work harder for you, so it supports your independence and keeps you moving comfortably for years to come. Not just today or this month, but well into your future. Before we get into any of this, I want to be completely clear about something. Walking is genuinely one of my favorite forms of exercise to recommend to anyone, at any age. It's free. It requires no special equipment, and almost everyone can adjust it to fit their own ability level. It benefits your heart, your muscles, your mood, your balance, your bones, and even your brain, all at the same time. So please hear me when I say this is not a video telling you to stop walking. This is about getting far more benefit out of something you're likely already doing every single day. Here's something I've noticed after decades of working in nursing. Watching people age in every possible way. The people who stay mobile the longest, the ones who are still gardening, traveling, and chasing grandkids well into their 80s, they aren't necessarily the fastest walkers out there. What sets them apart is consistency, and just as importantly, they pay close attention to what their bodies are actually telling them. Walking isn't only about racking up steps on a fitness tracker. It's about protecting your independence, and that is a very different goal than simply hitting a number, one that deserves a completely different approach. Let's talk about the first mistake, and it's one almost everyone makes without ever noticing. Walking, but never challenging yourself along the way. Here's something most people don't realize about their own bodies. If every single walk looks exactly the same speed, same distance, same flat street through your neighborhood, your body eventually adapts completely to that routine. In some ways, that's actually good news, because it means your body has become efficient at that specific task. But it also means you're no longer asking your body to grow stronger, and that quiet plateau is where so much unnecessary decline slowly begins to creep in. This doesn't mean you suddenly need to power walk like you're training for a marathon. It simply means introducing a little intentional challenge here and there. Maybe that's walking a bit farther than usual one day, choosing a gentle hill instead of the flat route, picking up your pace for just 1 minute every few minutes, or occasionally taking a slightly longer path home. Your body responds beautifully to being challenged, not to being punished. And there's a real difference between the two. One builds you up gradually and safely, while the other just leaves you sore and discouraged. So gentle variety is truly the key here. The second mistake is one that hits close to home for me, because it's where the nurse in me can't help but speak up. Ignoring pain that keeps coming back, over and over again. So often people tell themselves it's probably nothing. And sometimes they're absolutely right. But sometimes they're not. And that distinction matters more than you might think. There's a real difference between normal muscle soreness after being active, which is completely expected, and pain that keeps showing up in the exact same spot again and again, especially if it starts changing how you walk, causes a limp, lasts for weeks on end, wakes you up at night, or seems to be getting progressively worse over time. Pain is information, plain and simple, and it deserves to be treated that way. It shouldn't automatically stop you from staying active, but it also shouldn't be brushed aside and ignored either. If you ever find yourself wondering whether something is just normal aging or actually worth mentioning to your healthcare provider, that uncertainty is exactly where having some guidance can make all the difference. Many people appreciate having help sorting through their symptoms, understanding what a recommendation actually means, or figuring out the right questions to ask before their next appointment even begins, so they walk in feeling prepared instead of anxious. Now let's move to the third mistake. And I know this one might ruffle a few feathers, so please don't get upset with me just yet. Thinking that walking alone is enough exercise on its own. Walking truly is fantastic for you, there's no argument there, but walking simply doesn't do everything your body needs as you get older. As we age, we naturally start losing muscle mass, and walking by itself usually isn't enough on its own to maintain all the strength your body actually requires to stay independent and steady on your feet for the long haul. That's precisely why I always encourage people to include some form of strength training alongside their walking routine. And I don't mean anything extreme or intimidating here. Simple bodyweight exercises, resistance bands, light weights you can hold comfortably, gentle chair exercises. Really, whatever matches your current ability and comfort level works perfectly fine. Staying independent as you age requires more than just endurance built from walking alone. It genuinely requires strength too. And the good news is that walking and strength training work beautifully together as teammates, never as competitors fighting for your limited time and energy. The fourth mistake is one nearly all of us have fallen into at some point, myself included if I'm being fully honest with you. Only walking when the weather happens to be perfectly good outside. It's too hot one day, then suddenly it's too cold the next. It's too windy, or it looks like it might rain later, and before you even realize what's happened, you've accidentally taken 2 entire weeks off from walking altogether. Here's the truth, though. Consistency matters far more than waiting around for perfect conditions that may never actually arrive on your schedule. Sometimes staying consistent simply means walking indoors instead. Maybe at your local mall, a nearby community center, or on a treadmill if you have access to one. Other times, it means breaking your walk into 2 or 3 shorter sessions throughout the day, rather than one long outing. Movement genuinely doesn't have to be all or nothing. And giving yourself that flexibility is often exactly what keeps you moving steadily through every season of the year, rather than starting and stopping over and over again out of frustration or discouragement. Now we come to the fifth mistake, and honestly, this might be the most important one of them all. Never paying close attention to how your own body actually responds to your walks. Walking shouldn't just be something you do on autopilot every day. It should also become something that genuinely teaches you about your own health. Almost like a daily checkup you give yourself without even needing an appointment. Ask yourself honestly, am I getting more tired than I used to after the same walk? Am I becoming a little less steady on my feet? Am I naturally slowing down without meaning to? Do I need to stop and rest much sooner than I did just a few months ago? Most of these changes happen so gradually that people simply don't notice them creeping in until they've already become significant. That's exactly why your daily walk can become one of the very best tools you have for quietly monitoring your own health over time. If something does change in a noticeable way, there's no need to panic immediately, but there's also no good reason to simply ignore it either. Paying attention early on gives you the power to address small issues long before they ever become bigger, more serious problems down the road. So here's the bottom line I want you to walk away with today. Walking was never really about counting steps or hitting some arbitrary number on a fitness watch. It's about protecting the actual life those steps allow you to keep living fully. Walking is what helps you visit friends whenever you want, travel to places you've always dreamed of seeing, shop independently without needing help, play freely with your grandchildren in the backyard, and stay comfortably in your own home for as long as humanly possible. That's the real goal here. Not some number, but the freedom and independence those steps genuinely protect. Walking, when done thoughtfully and with a little bit of intention, remains one of the very best investments you can possibly make in your own future. It costs you nothing but a little time and attention, yet it pays back dividends in strength, confidence, and independence for years to come. One thing decades in nursing has taught me is that people consistently receive much better health care when they walk into their appointments already prepared with the right information and the right questions ready to ask their provider. I'd genuinely love to hear from you now. How often do you walk each week? And honestly, what's been your biggest challenge along the way? Is it finding the motivation to get out the door some days? Dealing with nagging aches and pains that slow you down? Or simply making walking a real lasting part of your everyday routine? Let me know down in the comments below, because I truly do read every single one, and your own experience just might be exactly what encourages someone else out there to keep moving forward, one honest step at a time.